Hey guys, Pastor Mark here. Really excited to be with you guys. Really excited to be back at Prince of Peace and to be with you guys in this message. I wish we could all be back together, gather with one another in chapel and see each other face to face. But you know that right now we have to be safe and can't do that. But hopefully, sometime in the future, we'll be able to gather together again. But until then, let's thank God that we have videos and we can still connect this way. I'm with my map today, and I love maps. They're one of my favorite things in the world to look at because you can see the whole world, right? You have Canada up here where we are, you have the United States here, you have Mexico and Central and South America. Right here you have the great continent of Africa, and we have Australia and Southeast Asia and China, and India's right here. We have the Middle East and Europe and just the huge Russia. It's a huge country, biggest country in the world. And there's also these little islands scattered throughout all of the ocean and all the world. And the reason we're looking at the world today is because some of what God says in our Isaiah reading. See, in Isaiah, God is recognizing, he's acknowledging that there's all kinds of trouble and evil and bad things that happen in the world. There's a lot of suffering that happens to people. And he sees it and he has a plan for it. His plan is, he says, there's going to be a day when he gathers all his people, everyone who believes in his son Jesus. He's going to gather them together and bring them to himself and to his kingdom. And he says, in that kingdom, there will be no more crying, no more death, no more pain, no more suffering of any kind. Basically, nothing bad will ever happen again. It'll only be joy and peace and happiness forever and ever as we spend that eternity with God. And what I love about our reading is where God says he's going to take all these people from. See, in our reading in verse 5, God says, I will bring your offspring from the east, and from the west I will gather you. And I will say to the north, give up. Basically, that means give me my people back. And then he says, I will say to the south, do not withhold. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the end of the earth. See, basically, God is saying when he gathers all these people up, he's going to bring them from everywhere in the world. Whether from the east or from the west, from the north, from the south, whether they're on like islands or whatever. He says he's going to bring sons and daughters. There's going to be girls and boys, men and women, all kinds of people he's going to bring to himself. And again, I love hearing that, and that's such a joyful thing to me. But sometimes I hear this really weird idea that some people have, and they seem to think that Christianity and Jesus are just for certain types of people to believe in. Maybe Western people or like Northern people. Christianity is just for them. But what's so crazy about that is that Jesus wasn't a Western or a Northern guy. He wasn't a white guy. Jesus actually grew up in the East, right here in the Middle East, in Israel. And his family actually moved to Egypt for a little while before they moved back to the Middle East. And so Jesus is not a Western guy. He's not a Western person. He's an Eastern person. And so it's so weird that people have this idea that he's just for like Western people or like North Americans or whatever. He wasn't even on the same side of the ocean as North America. That idea is totally wrong. And in fact, there's actually a part in the Bible, in the book called Revelation, where a guy named John, he got a vision of heaven. He saw ahead of time what heaven in the future was going to be like. And one of the things he said about heaven, he said that in heaven, he saw this huge group of people, like a massive group of people. He said nobody could even count how many people there were there. And he said in that group, he saw people from every nation, every tribe, and every language. Basically, John said, guys, I saw in heaven people from every country in the world, every race, every culture. Like, no matter what kind of language you can think of, there was someone in heaven who spoke that language. Whatever kind of food people eat in their different cultures, whatever kind of music people listen to in their different types of cultures, there were those kind of people in heaven. And I love hearing that because, I look around at me and my friends, and we and our families, we were all from different places. And even at Prince of Peace too, where all of us and our families come from all over the world at different parts when we've moved in different parts of history, right? But what God is saying is that He made every single person, every single type of people. And when He gathers His people together and He gathers everyone who believes in Jesus, there's going to be people from every single culture, every single race, every single country, every single background. Because He made them all, and His Son Jesus is the Savior and the King of all people in the entire world. See, I wonder if you know where you or your family come from in the world. For example, my family, you have to go back 3 generations, but we came from Norway up here. I wonder where your family came from. You know, if maybe you came from Africa somewhere, or South America, or maybe from India, or somewhere in the far east of Asia. If you don't know, it might be a really cool idea to ask your parents where your family has come from. But the other thing I would really encourage you guys to know, and maybe even talk to your family about, is to tell them that no matter where you are from, no matter what your culture is, no matter what country you're from, no matter what your race is, Jesus is the King and the Savior of your people. He is your Savior and your King, and He wants you and your people in His kingdom, so that when He gathers all His people together, you'll be there with Him in His kingdom. There will never again be suffering or pain or death of any kind, just joy and life forever. And the way we become God's people is by believing in Jesus Christ. So guys, I really encourage you to hope in Jesus, to be one of God's people that gathers together from all over the world. And if you have questions, I encourage you to ask your teachers about that. They're really smart people. And yeah, thanks for being with me today, guys. God bless you, and have a great year. I'll be doing more messages, so I'll see you guys then. Bye.